Hello. um, Happy New Year. Happy Christmas to everybody. I hope you all have a beautiful Christmas um, because we are a Christian nation and we have to protect that at all costs. And we celebrate Christmas, and let's hope that we continue celebrating Christmas as Christians for as long as we are on this planet. There are groups, there are people out there, and I would say even members of our government that don't necessarily agree with that. They want this open world, this open planet. Well, I, for one, don't think for 1 minute that that will ever work. You know what I mean? We have problems in this country on a slight scale where the Welsh don't get on with the English don't get on with the Scottish, the Irish don't get on with nobody, and vice versa, back and forth, back and forth. So when you're having all these other countries coming in, all these other religions and beliefs, it's never ever going to work. And I listened to Danny Thomas and his team, and I think they're doing an absolutely fantastic job over in France when they're given the chance to do it. When the French police are getting involved and they are just listening to their masters, and their masters are being guided by our so called masters. You know, we want to stop this, we don't want this happening, blah, blah, blah. Yes, we want the people to come over. And that's what the way it is. All right. Then like I said, I think the boys are doing a fantastic job, and I, for one, come January, will hopefully be over there in France in one role or another, being a veteran. I believe I have skills that could be used, and I will use them. And it's not saying, oh, here we go, it's going to be right wing and he's this, that, and the other, and he's violent. We're not on about violence. Not at all. You know what I mean? I got no problems going across there and shaking a French Bobby's hand. They're doing their job on the beach because that's what they are told to do. And we are doing what we believe we should do. Right? So there is no need for us to riot or us to kick off in this country because that's not what we are about. You can leave that out there to the thugs. And there are thugs, and they will stick their nose in, and they will stir things around. But the problem there is the BBC and the ITV and all the rest of the news channels only report it from one side. And that's the side that they want you, sat at home, in your little warm house, to believe. Because the BBC and the ITV and the rest of them are so biased. Do you know what I mean? I mean, who's going to take any notice of the BBC and the people who run the BBC? Look at the amount of cock-ups and mistakes and everything else they've made this year and the way they are. They are so left-wing, they turn around and disappearing up their own arse. Do you know what I mean? They are doing bloody 360 degrees and disappearing up their own rectum. So I got no faith in the BBC. I got no faith in the ITV. I got no faith in this government. All right, whether it be Conservatives or whether it be Labour or whether it be Liberal Democrats. That's a joke. Whether it be Plaid Cymru, and I'm Welsh. I'm a proud Welshman. But according to them, I'm not Welsh because I don't speak with a forked tongue. You know what I mean? Which is a load of, I gotta say it, bollocks. Innit? You know what I mean? I fought for this country. I fought for Britain. I fought for Wales. I was in Welsh regiments. I worked with other Welsh boys. And I've worked with Scottish boys. And I've worked with English and I've worked with German, and I've worked with French, and I've worked with some Arab nations. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not biased, and I'm quite open-minded to a lot of things. But what I don't like is this country being taken for a ride. The NHS, which was, as you know, founded by a Welshman, it wasn't meant to be like it is now. You know, it was going to be like a bit like a glorified first aid type thing, you know what I mean? And we take care of sort of sick people. The amount of work surgeons and consultants and I do now with brain surgery, open heart surgery, all the rest of it. And we need that to continue. But it will not continue if all these illegals keep coming into this country and sucking this country dry. Because that's what they're doing. They're sucking this country dry. They don't care. And I'm telling you, they will be rioting on the streets over here. They will. You mark my words. And then some of you in your cosy little hamlets and your cosy little jobs, and if it has nothing to do with me and blah, 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 you're in for a shock. You really are. And it's up to us, the British, English, Irish, Scots, or whatever, to stand up and fight for this country. The Indians, the Pakistanis, the Polish, they all fought for this country years and years ago, 70 years ago. And we will need them again. Because we worked on these beaches, not I, but my father, grandfather, and thousands of others worked on these beaches 70 odd years ago. And we'll be working on these beaches again. We stopped it last time. And I'm telling you, we're going to stop it again this time. Believe me. I've got sons of my own that don't believe in what I'm doing. Well, that's up to them. They're grown men. They can make up their own mind. They want to live in this la-li-la-li-la land. And fine. I can't change their mind. You know, I got grandchildren that probably wouldn't fight for this country. Don't come moaning to me when it all turns around and it starts biting you on the arse, because it will. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just airing my views at the moment of what I believe in. Some people are going to say, well, fair dues taff, you talk a lot of shite. And some might turn around and say, fair dues taff, you're talking sense, or some sense. My missus never thinks I speak sense, talk sense. And I've said to her, and we've had the odd conversation, and I said to her, come January, if Danny and the team ask me to go across and help in any way, shape or form that I can, I'm going. But you know, you're knocking on now and you're getting old, man. Yeah, I am. But I got a lot of experience, and I've seen a lot with these eyes. And I can still use this, and I'm still fairly active. Right, can I go run up and down the beaches for 12 hours a day? No. But there's other ways to beat it, and there's other ways to win a fight. There's other ways to skin a cat. And that's what I'll be doing. Because I am not letting any of these illegals, and that's all they are. They're not running from wars. They're not running from any sort of threats. They're running from ISA. That's what they say. ISIS, rather. Sorry. They're working, some of them are working for ISIS. They are being informed and told what to do. They found an arms cache in France the other week. Well, you think that's the only one? I've been waiting for this for months and months and months. Because they'll have them in Belgium, Germany, France, Britain. They'll have them everywhere. London, Bradford, Manchester, Cardiff. You know, we're all sort of wrapped up in this stuff between Putin and Trump and Europe. Well, Europe are being shown up for what they really are. Spineless men and women. Spineless. Trump, nothing to do with me, really. But he's a typical American, isn't he? Big mouth. And Putin's the same. And if you study and watch Putin and Trump, they are very similar in their ways. They both want to be the big man, the big I am, the bully, so they can bully all their sort of sub-officers about and their politicians and tell them what they want. And don't cross them because they'll sack you and you lose a very good living. You know what I mean? That's the way it's working. So I don't take no notice of Putin. I don't take no notice of Trump. If a war breaks out, then we're all stuffed. You know what I mean? Because we haven't got a force in this country. We got the best forces in this country, without a shadow of a doubt. Better than anybody. And I've worked with a lot of these other forces, and I've worked with the best. The very best. So I can't see what we got. 80-odd thousand. That's not 80-odd thousand fighting troops, frontline troops. That's 80-odd thousand troops. Cooks, clerks, bottle washers, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Russia brags about this, brags about that, brags about everything else. They are using stuff from donkeys years ago. So when it comes to a war, as in face-to-face, Russia wouldn't be a threat to us. Take a nuclear threat away from it. We got nuclear weapons and that as well. Will they work? Don't know. Never tried it. But that's the way it's all going. And Trump is just sat back and sort of saying, right, okay, I know Britain's been part or been attached to America for donkey's years, but I don't want nothing to do with it now. Why? Because all your leaders are spineless. They can't stand up to him. They can't stand up to Putin. Ukraine. That's the country has stood up to Putin. You think of the balls they've got. And their Prime Minister, or whatever his title is, was a comedian. And he's earned so much respect from so many people because all our politicians have turned out to be comedians. But that's the only role they can play. They can't be a politician. They don't know how to be a politician. They don't know how to run a sweet shop. Never mind run this country. This country is going down a pan. And the one thing we can do is stop all these illegals, and they are illegals, coming over here so the money can go back into the NHS, it can go back into the police force, it can go back into the ambulance service, it can go back into our military to make this a strong country, a proud country, which we used to be. We've done wrong in the past. We all know we have. With the history of Britain and the British and the English. Do you know what I mean? They tried to take Scotland, they tried to take Ireland, they tried to take Wales. Back off. You haven't, you didn't, and you can't. Do you know what I mean? Because the one thing we've got in us, these Celtic races, is fight and belief. You know what I mean? So that's it for now. I did start off saying have a very nice Christmas. And I hope you do. I hope you have a really, really love Christmas. There's a lot of people out there this time of year on their own, feeling lonely, nowhere to go, nowhere to live. Except if you're fucking illegal, because you'll be put up in a hotel or you'll be given a council flat. There are so many people out there living on the streets, veterans living on the streets, and you think, oh, the fucking veterans, you'll be crying again for them. You fucking needed them years ago and you'll need them again. Let me tell you. Because whatever you think of our armed forces, there's more veterans out there than what we got troops. A lot more. And some of them ranging from the ages of 30 to 70 to 80, but they can all add something and they can all give something and they all will give something. Do you know what I mean? So don't put them down. We have got to get this country back on our feet. You want this country to be strong. You want to be able to have a job a nice job, a good job, a nice home, be able to afford to pay your mortgage, your gas bill, your electric bill, out to run a car. You know what I mean? And have the money to do that. I'm going to go out and buy all these electric cars. That's all turning out to be a load of balls as well, isn't it? And it is. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your money on buying an electric car. You think you're doing good for the environment? Wakey, wakey. You've got to smell a coffee and really wake up. But that's going on to a different subject now. So I'm going to say good night. Thank you very much for your time. If you've listened, I don't know how long I've been talking for. Obviously too long. I'm bored the shit off some people. But just saying, I hope you all have a lovely Christmas as best you can. And I hope you all have an happy and healthy New Year. Because that's the only things you really need, is to be happy and healthy. Don't need money. Don't need tons of money. Don't need to chase the dollar. All right? Because you'll never have enough. God bless you. Take care. And as I always say on some of my little rants, it's a saying I've had for years. It's bon vaiaca. Bye.